This was this project. Is it Himani?
Well, it's Imani.
Imani.
It's J-I-M-A-N-I. J is silent in Spanish, and it's in the Dominican Republic. But the Haitians, being French, pronounce it Jimani.
Okay.
So it's kind of confusing. but technically, it's a little town called Imani, Dominican Republic, just inside the Dominican border over the line from Haiti.
And how did you get involved with the program?
My son-in-law's father, Clint Doran, is a cardiologist in Knoxville. And over the last 10, 13 years, he had been doing medical missionary work around the world, and they ended up in that area of Haiti, between Port-au-Prince and the Dominican Republic border, in small towns and villages. They would just go as a group of doctors, and then of course their church missionaries was the other part of the group. And they just fell in love with the people and felt very moved to do more for them. So they bought land in the Dominican Republic because they couldn't get clear title to land in Haiti. Their legal system was not existent very much. So they bought land inside the Dominican Republic on the main road heading toward Port-au-Prince. It was about a 1-hour drive from Port-au-Prince, but a lot closer to a lot of the intervening small towns. And they built a hospital and medical clinic. Ground floor was operating rooms, medical clinic, exam rooms, offices. And the second floor was basically a dormitory for the volunteers that would go down there to do work and help with the mission and the medical side of things. And then they built an orphanage for Haitian children, which was a big problem. And they had just finished the orphanage. It hadn't even been furnished yet at the time of the earthquake.
Really?
So Clint and I are friends. We share a couple of grandsons in common, and it was just I'd never been able to go down there because it didn't have any way to leave my patients here. But in November, Dr. C. Shannon came to town. He's an orthopedic surgeon. He's in our associates now. And so with Dr. Annan's presence, I was able to break away and leave him to help take care of my patients so that I could go down there with Clint, kind of emergency circumstances. Actually, Clint's group had a trip planned. They had planned a trip for January I guess it was the 20th, way in advance. But with what happened, we were able to move it up and then make it more of a medical than spiritual mission trip, I guess you'd say, and bump the other people who were going down as planned off to bring down medical supplies. So that's how I got involved, basically, as a family. And I was aware of it, and I knew that there was a need, so I just called them and said, hey, whenever you go, I'm going with you. And so we were able to get down there and do that.
What was it like when you got down there? Was it as devastating as it was made to be on TV? And
from what I saw of the wounded people, absolutely. I never actually went into Port-au-Prince. I was busy in the operating room and taking care of patients where I was, so I didn't have that opportunity. But we did have doctors, non-orthopedic surgeons, who had the ability to go into Port-au-Prince, and they brought patients back to us on a daily basis. And their descriptions are just like what you see on television. People buried under rubble, hearing people moaning and groaning in the streets, the awful stench in the air from basically the dead and dying, just horrific scenes. And they were actually in Port-au-Prince on January, I guess it was the 20th, when there was a pretty big aftershock. And one of the docs described it as just 1 minute standing talking, next minute lying down the ground, face down, had no clue how he ended up on the ground. It just happened that fast. So from my perspective, what I saw were just countless injured people, and some with family members who were had brought them to where we were in the mine. And some who I have no clue how they got there. Maybe some of the people were just trying to get them out of that area. And so they would come to the Dominican Republic, and the Dominican nationals would send them on over to the Jemani Project Hospital, because they knew it was there, and they thought, well, this is why it's there, we'll send them there. So they ended up at our place.
What were some of the, I guess, the worst cases that you've seen while you were there?
Well, I think the absolute worst was a young woman who was pregnant and had been crushed, and the baby had died, and she was at death's doorstep when she got there. Obstetrician Dr. John Williamson did an emergency hysterectomy, saved her life. She was very, very touch and go. I mean, that was horrific. Just can't imagine what that's like. And then the children who were, burned and broken bones, and we had countless kids in casts for broken legs and broken arms, and some that needed surgery, for just really because of just arms being crushed. And it takes nothing to crush a baby's arms. So those are the hardest things to look at and see and deal with. But there were just innumerable fractured femurs and tibias and open wounds of every size imaginable, and from extremities being pinned under rubble. The buildings were by and large cinder block. So when you get a ton of cinder blocks falling in, it's pretty bad.
I did get a chance to look through a lot of the pictures that you had emailed, and I remember seeing this one little girl that I guess it seemed to be did she have her arm amputated? It was a little, really young baby.
Well, we had 1 month old. Now, her arm was not amputated. I mean, at 1 month old, the body's healing powers are tremendous. But she'd had her arm crushed and burned, and it was broke. We didn't have X-ray, so it couldn't really determine